Remix. It's time to break the game. A time to level faster than ever before. A time to go down in history as one of the greatest Death Knights of all time. Wait, what? Welcome to Legion Remix, the second rendition of the Remix event on World of Warcraft. After a full year's wait since MOP Remix, where players broke the game in 3 days, Blizzard took proactive measures to ensure that this time we couldn't do that. Almost. But that's not why I'm here today. I am here today because Remixed is the sole opportunity most players have to break the game entirely. It's the chance to solo mythic raids, one-shot world bosses, and destroy keystones by yourself. However, since Blizzard has actively tried to balance time gating versus the actual fun mechanics of Remix, we can't just get 30 legendary gems and upgrade with bronze like last time. In a true callback to Legion, Remix requires an insane grinding process for us to fill out the artifact tree and to reach our true maximum potential of 999 ranks of unlimited power, to become a monster who can enter a mythic raid and decimate it just like this. Before we can actually focus on that though, I need to address the elephant in the room, namely that I'm level 10 and starting off in Dalaran with nothing. I'm downright broke, downtrodden, and apparently plucked cleanly out of the timeline now. It is up to me with these bare hands to pull myself up by the bootstraps and make something of myself. Except that I have now been told that I am Azeroth's greatest hero, that no other Death Knight has ever surpassed me, and I possess a power that rivals the gods. After correcting the timeline, I found myself in this fuck ugly gear. Every time someone sees me in this gear, it's another week delay on a new video, and in some cases, it has caused videos to be erased from history entirely. I fixed this to my normal transmog, because quite frankly, when you look this perfect, why would you ever want to change? Anyways, I have been told that I am the greatest Death Knight of all time, or that maybe I will be. After rescuing Johnny Koresh from a horrible algorithm-based incident, I realized that this was my hero's quest. I couldn't reach unlimited power without knowing who I truly am. I took the tests, I did the research online, but I'm not sure what the hell any of this means, so I went back to basics. Who am I? I'm a Death Knight. So for me to understand who I'm truly meant to be, I went and played Warcraft 3. But that wasn't enlightening, so I decided I would complete the Death Knight Order Hall campaign, and that's when the wise words were spoken to me. It was like a whisper in the wind, the sound of nature coming to my ears. It was the ancient adage that guided me in the year of our Lord, 2007. The tale of a gamble that would ultimately change the trajectory of my life, and as the winds whispered the words, I felt myself empowered, despite not being one of us. Nem, a man who could be likened to a modern-day Warcraft Socrates, whispered the truth so many years ago. Blizzard really needs more money. So we're about to see a Death Knight spree. When I arrived at the Acris, I was reaffirmed to be the best single Death Knight that has ever existed, despite being around for only 15 full minutes. I guess they were desperate for new leadership, considering they handed the crown to the first person they saw. My first act as Death Lord of the Ebon Blade. Fuck it, let's go find some artifacts. I did a quick run through the Frost DK artifact. The Frost DK artifact is actually kind of interesting, considering it is the only unique scenario for Death Knights, whereas Blood and Holy's artifact quests are kind of shared with other classes. Also, you can see Icecrown Citadel in full form, and I get to partially relive Warcraft 3 again. Then I got to see Blizzard's famed blue balling technique, where they ruined the most iconic artifact in Warcraft history, and after dumpstering the Echo of Daddy Problems Incarnate, I got the Twin Blades. Next up, I hit the Unholy DK artifact, where everyone part of it began to show early stages of CTE.
Try to keep up, try to keep up, try to keep up, try to keep up!
The Unholy DK artifact can be best summarized as bullying a ripped Kikachan priest into letting me hitch a ride with him to Karazhan. From here, we enter the Karazhan crypts, which look drastically different than how I remember them. Again, a constant theme of Death Knight antagonists and similar entities is unbridled daddy issues. Just like Arthas and his father, the main Dark Rider, Aridin, has some big issues because he didn't want to be a mage like his daddy. So he ended up being a shit-tier merchant who could not successfully trade his rupees. So Medivh cursed him to be a fake Death Knight instead. So now, Aridin collects artifacts instead. Anyways, one chastising later by his father's spirit was enough emotional damage to kill him on the spot. After this, I went to finish the artifact trilogy. The Blood Death Knight artifact was actually the longest quest, namely because of Blizzard's beautiful NPC following technology, causing characters to rubber band back and forth. I landed on a random world called Niskara, and turns out Death Knights might not be the hero class we think they are, with how easily these guys were captured and killed. Instead of doing it old school and killing them for their failures, Baron Sliver suggests that we save them. Before I can do that, most of them get summarily executed. After whipping a demon's ass, I got the Blood artifact. But what does that say about my class if I can wipe the floor of the Legion's top units in seconds? questions. Are the rest of Death Knight players really that bad? Or were the Infinites correct and I am destined to become the greatest Death Knight of all time? Mayhaps there was a third answer. I simply just did not partake of the same methods that the other Death Knights did. While they were clan weaving, I was out in these streets hustling and grinding for cash money like a true gangster. And when those nerfs hit and clan weaving was gone, I was still making that cash money. So yes, maybe I am a tad bit more intelligent than the average DK player, but I can't let my ego get to me. After doing all 3 artifacts, I had only reached level 16. So I decided officially to start the Death Knight campaign. I went around the Acris and
reunited, and it feels so good.
oh, it's so good to see you again, Thessarian. The Death Knight campaign revolves around reviving a new generation of Death Knights to replace the 4 Horsemen of the Scourge. Our first stop, believe it or not, is actually to revisit Mob Remix and bring Nazgrim back from the dead. If I knew that Nazgrim was buried in a nameless grave outside of Orgrimmar, I would have picked him up way sooner. But I guess there's no honor in getting one shot during Mob Remix though, is there? After this, it was time for me to begin my Order Hall missions. Considering I've been building up insignias and Paragon caches for months on my main, I'm going to be the only person looking forward to actually doing the Order Hall missions during Legion Remix.
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, what the fuck, Moritari?
We're ready to proceed.
Huh?
Moving on.
You can't just—
Job's done.
I'm fucking talking here. After Moritari forced me to give up the Order Hall missions, I got my ass sent to Arathi Highlands to try and stop the battle for Azeroth from happening, but I got sent too far back. I have to help the Prince of Stromgarde wipe out the native forest troll population. Considering that the last 2 of my videos have dabbled on the topic of genocide, consider this the 3rd video in the Genocide Run trilogy. This wasn't too bad, but the forest trolls didn't put much of a fight. Oh, I forgot I queued for this. Anyways, after helping the Prince of Stromgarde, I discovered that he was actually a shitlord and killed his dad, much like another infamous shitlord. When I killed Trollbane Jr., I remembered the words of Nim once again. Let's look at this a little bit more conversely. Imagine 30 Death Knights up in Arathi, using those same skills offensively, life draining to keep themselves healthy. Reflecting upon the ancient adage once more, I drained Junior's life and put it into his daddy, and so I brought back King Thoros Trollbane as a Death Knight, as a means to resolve daddy issues once and for all. Getting back to the Acris, I was petitioned by my homeboy, Thessarian, to rescue his BFF, Koltira, from the hands of one Sylvanas Windrunner. This was a brave thing to ask, but it was Thessarian. Look at him. How could I say no to a face like that? It was here in the Undercity that I discovered that Blizzard did not correctly set this quest up for Remix, because as I took my first steps into the city, a lone bat made me eat shit and put me back in the graveyard by Scarlet Monastery, the complete opposite side of the zone. What was even worse is that they forced me to run back on foot until they randomly resurrected me, and I made a mad dash to get back to Undercity in time before they kicked me out of the timeline. Despite entering Undercity, Blizzard kicked me out anyways. Why? Because fuck me, that's why. It was also here that I forgot to hit record again, but I totally did this quest in one shot after this. I totally did not die again to another bat, and I totally saved Koltira on the next actual attempt. After my Undercity excursion, I saved a magic chandelier from the ocean and had to witness the Exodar get sieged by the Legion's forces. You'd think the intergalactic, holy space travelers with a penchant for fighting against the forces of darkness would survive a direct assault on their capital, particularly when they are allies with half of the damn world and have many more intergalactic allies. No, the Exodar ate shit, and they still locked up all their degenerated brothers in a mining shaft for no other reason than, well, they were over there anyways, so they'll probably die, lol. 12 terrified citizens, 8 portals, and watching a random guy named Rakesh kill the entry hall lights, it turns out that Rakesh was actually the son of the great prophet Velen. You'd think that Velen would have mentioned he had a wife and child before this, but the more you know, I guess. I wonder what— oh my god, sorry guys, I didn't mean for this to happen again. I went back to Acris and threw the chandelier in the corner of the room. I hope nothing bad happens as a result of this. Anyways, the Death Knight campaign continues from here, and they asked me to get some rope, so I was forced to do Darkheart Thicket and steal Xavius' favorite rope, and when I returned to the Acris, I was hit with a personal tragedy. I could not continue the campaign until I was level 45, and as one final taunt from the Lich King, he told me my next target would be my wife. Now for a quick break, I went back to Dalaran and decided to try things out with different transmogs, but instead of giving y'all a repeat of Fashion Frenzy, I'll just skip to the fact that I didn't change my transmog at all. Anyways, I'm pretty damn autistic when it comes to developing my transmog, because each transmog needs a matching mount for either the color theme or the aesthetic, and you see, this is usually a very long, tedious process that I never end up coming out of, but this time, it was different. Scrolling through the list, I came across a small bug. Anorius' charger was completely gone and replaced with this bad boy. That's right, I can fly around as a dice now. Just enjoy this moment with me. Now back to the video. Now that I'm level gated on having to save my wife, I have to actually go and play the actual Legion expansion instead. Making a quick choice, I decided to go hit up Azuna, as it is subjectively the best leveling zone in Legion. However, I know you've leveled through Azuna, and I have leveled through Azuna, so I am not recapping the Azuna questline, except for a few small notable things. After doing the first part of the quest, I decided to hit up the Blue Dragons, because I wanted to reunite with my favorite crackhead, and then 5 minutes later, I watched him die instantly. Later in the questline, I managed to correct the timeline with Prince Ferondis, and actually was able to successfully stop the battle for Azeroth for good. Seriously though, I was actually blown away because I didn't expect Ferondis to actually fucking one-shot her. After this, I did a legally distinct Pokemon battle. There are a lot of legally distinct things in Azuna, like legally distinct Hogwarts, or legally distinct Keanu Reeves, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for that sweet XP. I finished Azuna, and shit, I still needed 3 levels. After conferring with a magic 8-ball off screen, I ended up doing the Val'sharah zone. I hit level 45, and I found myself with a hard choice. Do I continue doing Val'sharah, or do I rescue High Inquisitor Whitemane? Do I choose the sweet XP, or my wife? Delicious XP, or my wife? XP, or my wife? Let me check the hero's journey real quick. I pulled up the Wikipedia page and remember that step 8 was actually the woman as the temptress. I couldn't leave Val'sharah because there was some woman out there. I had to stay here because I was told by a magic 8-ball that I was the chosen one, and High Inquisitor Whitemane was that temptation I had to resist. Val'sharah is not my favorite zone, and frankly, the only reason why people rep this zone is because they really like Ysera's death. I'm gonna keep it frank with you though. The zone has one questline that actually matters to me, and it's the Malfurion Goose Chase with Tyrande and Xavius.
Where are you, Tyrande?
These goofy ass voice lines of Xavius and personally Malfurion is the funniest part of the zone, by a very far margin, if not the funniest element of the Legion expansion.
I need you!
What is even funnier to me than all of this is how this one quest destroyed Malfurion's reputation online, and so now I'll end up on a Warcraft lore forum and hear someone talk shit about Malfurion solely based on this questline, despite the fact it wasn't actually Malfurion. It was just a hallucination caused by the insane amounts of black mold and dust in the nightmare corrupted parts of Val'sharah. And after I hit level 60 in the zone, I left and returned back to the Acrius. I was now damn determined to rescue my wife. The Legion remix version of this questline is essentially the most lore accurate version of the quest we're ever gonna get. During the Scarlet Monastery, I one-shot pretty much every single mob. It's just like I was level 60 in Classic, killing all the level 30 mobs in the graveyard again. This was low-key annoying though, only because the NPC Death Knights kept aggroing the mobs and one-shotting them too. After painstakingly waiting for 16 Crusaders, I started to move onwards. It was in the next hallway, and I started to understand the revelations of the DK spree once more. Watching Trollbane, who was emanating absolute aura, gave me the inspiration to understand the next stanza. I don't want to get XP no more. I am knee-deep in Blood River. I've got no more FedExes to deliver. Maybe Blizz should make my tune a quest giver. It eventually came to me. I was already standing knee-deep in the Blood River, one that was built upon the XP I had to get in Val'sharah. I didn't want this XP anymore, but the phrase, "I got no more FedExes to deliver," was something I built this channel upon. I went to their new Mograine wannabe, and in the spirit of the insane challenge, I gave him a bola with next day delivery. After this, I went to become a quest giver by breaking into Whitemane's chamber and resurrected my wife. Apparently, death has made Whitemane no longer cuckoo, and I never knew I was going to say this, but here it is. I fixed her. That's right. I've heard all you assholes say that you could fix the trad Dami Mommy priest with a giant army of zealots at her command, but guess what? I actually did it. I fixed her. It was just as easy as whacking her over the head a decade ago, walking in and making her into my big titty goth wife. Rescuing my wife made me realize that there might actually be a little bit more to Legion Remix though, than just the Death Knight campaign, so I decided to take a break for a few levels. Considering we have finished Val'sharah and Azuna, I had to make a choice between Stormheim or High Mountain, and quite frankly, I can't fucking stand High Mountain, so there was only one option. Starting off, I ended up in Stormwind and was having to inspect a gunship for any potential war crimes that we might do in the next few levels. However, we are in the middle of a war with an infinite army of demons who would do anything to see all of us dead in the streets like dogs. We wouldn't do anything to jeopardize that war effort, would we?
What the dog doing?
What the fuck, Gin? We had one job, not destroy the opposite faction, fuck! Since now that I am embroiled once again in the race war, I decided to hit the shooting range, dropped from the Alliance battle bus, and wiped out 3 ships of duos. While on these ships, Lorna Crowley had a moment of object permanence, and recognized that the vile concoctions of Certified Plague, the same stuff that destroyed the Wrathgate, was indeed not Westfall stew. I surely hope that this magical, vile concoction of Forsaken stew doesn't get spread anywhere. Oh my god, are you guys fucking kidding me? Stormheim's leveling, outside of the intro, isn't all that interesting honestly. There are a few fun encounters here and there, like killing random hunters, beating up bodybuilders, and reassembling stone men. However, what I find interesting, more than anything else, is that this is the only zone that treats me for what I really am. A dead man invading people's homes and stealing their shit. Everywhere I go in this zone, people treat me like I'm a domestic terrorist. And after what I did to the poor Scarlet Crusade and those forest trolls earlier, they are fully justified in seeing me as such. In fact, there's not a single action I've done so far that hasn't been self-serving, and horrifyingly enough, these dragons that I'm rescuing will not see it coming when I come back from their mama 2 videos from now. Stormheim does have this one silly little quest I forgot to mention. That one quest where you get fucking killed. Your soul gets sent to hell, and you have to survive in Viking hell with a bunch of grimy, seaweed-covered Scandinavians wanting to swallow your soul. Unfortunately for hell, I'm too full of shit for them to keep me, and after braving a daring escape, all they one then had a group who thought the day 2 of LEMIX was enough for them to pull the entire dungeon from beginning to end. I escaped hell. The afterlife cannot hold me, but the real world doesn't want me either, so it's not really a win for me now, is it? Anyways, this near brush with death convinced me to continue the Death Knight campaign. Looking at my quest log, I had 2 new campaign quests available. The first, I was tasked by a Malthazad, enter the Eye of a Genre, to go get him a certain magical princess necklace. This was easily accomplished, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't think anyone was looking for this anyways. Meanwhile, Lord Thorval had this funny idea he wanted to enact, and I'm going to explain it to you really quickly so you can understand why I greenlit this idea. So we make abominations by dumping every component in them, and then putting in a very intelligent brain that we shrink into nothing. So when Lord Thorval hit me with a proposal to put demons inside of an abomination instead, I couldn't think of any better way to reward him than going to go fetch him demon parts for free. This meant I need to go steal someone's heart, another demon's entrails, and then kill a warden to get their eyeballs. Turning these 2 quests in, I was 79, and I was given the option to visit Suramar. I decided to go visit the home of magical French crackheads, and I found my first person in the entire zone hitting the fentanyl in public within 30 seconds of arrival. Afterwards, a malnourished woman who was trying to escape the streets asked for my help, so I walked her to a nearby cave, hit level 80 and abandoned her. Such is the life of a gangster in the street like myself, but these hoes need to know that there are more important things in life than their hoedom. And fortunately for them hoes, they have the opportunity to learn about my secret ability. The LEMIX artifacts have a unique talent tree where you can pursue one of 5 power-up fast passes, each suited to a different kind of playstyle. I happen to choose Twisted Crusade because on its own, Twisted Crusade fucking slaps. But here's the kicker, it has some silly effects when you combine them with an Unholy Death Knight. You see, there are 3 major abilities that completely change the game with Twisted Crusade. Number 1, Touch of Malice, which makes it that my damaging abilities and then on my minions apply Fell Touch, which by itself makes my Dreadlord always crit. My Dreadlord now spits pure fire. Number 2, Call the Legion. When my Dreadlord leaves, he empowers my crits to cause a stacking buff that at 5 stacks shits out another demon. And this is where it gets really fucking silly. It affects my pet crits as well. So when your average Unholy DK pops off, he's hitting Army of the Dead and Apocalypse, giving him around 12 ghouls that are constantly clapping cheeks. The demon summons overlap from these abilities too, so while I already have 12 minions on the field, I'm starting to shit out new demons at max power that are applying even more Touch of Malice stacks and blasting bosses down. However, none of that compares to the true final ability of the tree. Let's just say that I am sick and tired of my Dreadlord, and being the self-serving rat bastard that I am, I decide to end our relationship. I have the ultimate damaging ability in the game, the Fell Spike. Fell Spike is essentially the nuclear option. It will practically one-shot anything in the open world, and in raids, it becomes 99% of your damage done at the lower infinite power levels. It is a very powerful tool that has turned the open world into physical ash, but you can see Blizzard had an answer to this problem, something that I did not anticipate doing until max level, Heroic World Mode. Being the Giga Chan Unholy Death Knight that I am, I walked into Heroic Mode thinking that I was hot shit, and Blizzard had to quickly correct me on that matter. Here is my first world boss encounter with one Nazak the Fiend. I'm hyped up, I'm ready to take this boss in and show the world my 60k powers for good and... That's right, this asshole one-shots me. It wasn't an auto attack, it wasn't a breath. No, his simple aura one-shot me. That's how woefully unprepared I was for Heroic World Tier, and I had even worse news. Everything in Heroic World Tier is empowered, and it fucking slaps. Auto attacks were wrecking me, and the only thing letting me kill mobs were kiting them across arenas. I couldn't back out now though. I'm not bitch made. But wait, why am I focusing on hard mode content and not finishing the campaign? Well, this is just bad luck. Because during the first week of LEMIX, Blizzard accidentally fucked up World Quest Generation. The final quest of the campaign, before the finale, is to finish 10 world quests, which is not hard, but for some reason, the only world quests spawning are dungeon quests. It was only like 2 or 3 up at any given time, so I was effectively locked down and finishing the campaign until Blizzard fixed it. So I decided to start getting geared up instead. The first thing I did was enter normal Emerald Nightmare, and to get carried through it by day 1 degens. And the worst part of it, the raids give fat experience, like insane experience. There were people in my normal raid who got almost a level on every boss, which is frankly quite insane. I digress though, because gear was the next main objective while I waited for Blizz to fix world quests. I went to town on raids, and I went to town hard. I shit out LFR, normal, and heroic, Emerald, Nightmare, and Trial of Valors like it was nothing. I started to hit the Mythic Plus, and while my early numbers weren't anything insane, the dungeons were a literal breeze. Do you see this +8 Blackrock hold? We had 11 full deaths, and still 22 minutes on the timer. How about this Court of Stars +5, where we spent 3 minutes failing to find the spy at the party, but still clearing in no time. It is an understatement to tell you how much the LEMIX artifacts make all these dungeons into total jokes, let alone when I used my patented Twisted Crusade, fuck you button to dominate every single boss encounter in these dungeons. While these were great sources of gear starting off, this does bring forward the last real element of LEMIX that I want to bring up, the infinite research possibilities. So while you are leveling, there is this remix campaign you have to do, where you go do some research tasks in the open world. Some are like killing 25 flying mobs, collect 10 herbs, or maybe do a dungeon. Doing these are the easiest way to guarantee new gear, free infinite power, and hella bronze. But outside of the basic research tasks, you have some little silly ones here and there, and I'm not going to break all of them down because frankly they're not that crazy, and honestly, they're kind of boring. Fast forwarding to the end of the tasks, the final research task was just to complete a keystone dungeon, so I hit up a quick +5 Dark Heart Thicket to finish my dramatic quest to finish the remix campaign. But here's the thing, by the time I was in this +5, I was already cranking out mythic raids left and right, and that's how easy LEMIX raids really are. And by the time that I had finished the remix campaign, I had already done 10 world quests before Blizzard fixed them. Since I was now this supposed LEMIX hero, according to the Infinites, they gave me a baller transmog, and I decided to rock my new evil fit on my quest to truly understand what it meant to be a Death Knight. But I was mistaken. The 10 world quest campaign mission was not actually the final quest for the finale. No, I was asked by Salnar the Horseman for something else. I was told to go to Heroic Maul of Souls, so I signed up for a mythic keystone at level 14 and shit it out. Well, almost. I actually got hard carried by an actual plant-picking degenerate who carried us to victory after we ate shit multiple times. Runs like this reminded me that I am, maybe, not all that I'm cracked up to be. And our attempt to chain pull the dungeon back-to-back showed that while I was getting better, it was ultimately still a wet noodle in comparison to where I want to be. Like, dude, I got hit by a single ability and almost got wrecked near the end. I died on every boss fight in here because I thought I was him. But in a further showcase of my ego getting too high, I didn't even listen to the fucking quest giver. Did you happen to note how I said Heroic Maul of Souls 10 seconds ago? And I am instead in a +14 Maul of Souls instead? Well, you're gonna have to slap me on the ass and call me Jaina Pradmore for saying this, but I am truly not better than the average Death Knight player. Because it should not be a shock that when I looted the Mythic Cache in the end, it did not have any quest items in it. The Mythic Plus version does not give the quest item, and I actually have to do this dungeon on heroic difficulty for it to drop, with my ego greatly damaged from such a terrible decision, and not wanting to wait 10 full minutes for a queue. I decided to really test where my strength was, and I decided to solo a Heroic Maul of Souls. If I want to solo a +50 keystone later on, I gotta take baby steps, and those steps were very much baby steps. If you thought I flew too high in the last section, Maul of Souls put me in my place. I couldn't go fast. I could clear small packs at a time with my cooldowns, and each boss had dealt small chunks of health at a time. I could heal through the damage output with Death Strike, but wasn't I supposed to be destroying these bosses left and right? I was doing this in Mop Remix in the first few days, but why not here? So in this dungeon on Heroic took me roughly 15 full minutes, but this dungeon run was sobering, and it made me realize that I was getting too cocky for my own good. I hadn't actually mastered what it meant to be a Death Knight yet, and I needed to return to Acuris to meditate on it. After turning this quest in, the final truth of the Death Knight spree came to me telepathically, from the Lich King himself. I've seen a lot of things, but little is stranger than these tier 5 Mighty Morphin Pally Rangers. I'm afraid your sexuality just might be in danger. If I had a paladin, I think I'd have to exchange her. Oh my god, it all made sense. I had to go attack Light's Hope Chapel, delete the Paladin class, absolutely blast Leodrin, exchange her into dust, and go resurrect Tyrion Fortring as the final member of the Four Horsemen. Holy shit! Seriously, I can't believe this is what I was missing all along. For one final ride, I gathered the 3 other horsemen and Darien, and we pulled up to Light's Hope Chapel with a quick little message to the Paladins. They tragically said no. So I went into their backdoor crypt, tickled a few of the corpses with my LEMIX powers, and assaulted the shit out of Light's Hope Chapel. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this was poorly thought out, because what if there were like a fuckload of Paladin players in the chapel right now? I don't even think my Twisted Crusade could handle 20 other Twisted Crusades popping up on it, and honestly, I didn't even need them to pop Twisted Crusade to fuck my day up. It took 6 Paladins to wreck my evening, and I thought they were gonna be baby bitches, but the truth was still very clear, that I was not him. But being the embodiment of the Death Knight spree, I could not feel my father and bring daddy issues back to the Death Knight class. No, those had to be purged forever. So I broke into the chapel's basement. I slapped a bunch of Paladins silly, and I gave Leodrin a piece of my fucking mind. And as it turns out, the light has no power against my Twisted Crusade, and I was preparing to exchange her into dust like the old adage said. But there was something I could never anticipate. Leodrin had certified plot armor, and all long. I did not know this, but she was actually the T5 Mighty Morphin Pally Ranger of Legend, because the light hit us with a Deus Ex Machina and nearly one-shot us, only for Darian to open a death gate, and death grip me through the portal. And when I came across the other side, I discovered that Darian did die for us. The light fucked my home slice up, and while things began to feel like there was no hope, and that the Death Knight spree was doomed to fail at this moment, I heard the voice for the final time. Go outside and learn what true evil is, and go beat up some kids, but get ready for the hero class you revel. It made sense. I did all these selfish things up to this point, and I was learning what it meant to be truly evil. I went to so many countless places. I beat up so many kids. Trollbane Jr., fake Mograine, and now the entire Paladin class? No, I understood what I had to do. The hero class I reveled was not meant to be raising Tyrion Fordring. No, I was here to celebrate what it meant to be a Death Knight. And to truly start my Death Knight spree, I made Darian Mograine into the 4th Horseman of the Apocalypse. And as I gathered my 4 horsemen, I finally knew my place in the world. I knew who I was and what I was meant to be. And becoming Death Lord of the Ebon Blade was only the first step to becoming the greatest Death Knight of all time. No, there lied an infinite amount of work to do in front of us. The Death Knight spree was only the beginning, and with the power of my hero class realized, I had my sights on greater objectives. I will not forget what happened in that Mall of Souls run. I would not forget what Heroic World Tier did to me. No, I was never going to forget. I had the next step sitting right in front of me. For me to take my place among the legends of history, the true goal was set. I had to reach 999 ranks of unlimited power, and thankfully, Legion Remix was just beginning.